January 14th, 1943, 07:42 hours. Just outside the frozen outskirts of Leningrad, the world is nothing but white. A swirling void of snow, wind, and silence, so complete it feels like sound itself has frozen. Soviet sniper Senior Sergeant Lev Romankov lies pressed against a crusted ice of a shell crater. His cheek is glued to the cold stalk of his Mosin Nagant, breath crystallizing instantly, forming a thin frost that threatens to give away his position. You can almost feel that cold biting through your own gloves, numbing your fingers just by imagining it. He isn't moving. He can't move. Somewhere in the whiteout, a German sniper has already taken 2 men from Romankov's platoon. Clean shots, expert shots, the kind that only come from a marksman who knows this dance well. Romankov's commander had whispered only 3 words before sending him out into this blinding storm. "Find him, Lev." But right now, visibility is barely 5 meters. The world ahead is a blank sheet, and somewhere on that sheet sits a man with a rifle trained on the next person foolish enough to stand. Romankov steadies his breathing, listens, feels. A gust of wind sweeps across the open ground, kicking snowflakes sideways. They scatter wildly, except in one tiny pocket directly ahead. A patch of air where the flakes behave wrong. They drift, pause, then split around something invisible, as if touching an unseen surface. Romankov narrows his eyes. There is no shape, no motion, no silhouette. Just snow acting strangely. Snow moving as if nudged by a sniper's barrel. Romankov shifts his gloved finger toward the trigger. Because in this blizzard, the only thing more terrifying than seeing your enemy is realizing he's close enough that his breath alone is redirecting the falling snow. And he's pointing right at you.
Romankov doesn't blink. That strange pocket of drifting snow, that unnatural ripple in the blizzard stays fixed in his vision. A phantom shape in an ocean of white. 5 meters? Maybe 8. Impossible to tell. Distance dissolves in storms like this. But the enemy is there, waiting, watching. Romankov inhales slowly, letting the freezing air burn down his throat. One wrong breath, one cloud of steam, and the German will fire first. He knows the type. Patient, calm, deadly. A sniper who kills without ever being seen. Lev slides his mittened thumb over the bolt handle, feeling the tiny vibrations of the storm through the steel. He keeps his body motionless, muscles rigid, as if turning into part of the ice itself. The snowflake pattern shifts again. Just a whisper, just enough. As the wind swirls, flakes drift toward the invisible shape, then break apart as if hitting some narrow obstacle. A rifle barrel. Perfectly still. Perfectly hidden. Romankov's heart thumps once, loud enough that it feels like it might echo. What if the German is doing the same thing? What if he's also reading the snow? What if both men are staring at the same invisible clue, and only one will trust it enough to fire? Lev lowers his head a fraction of an inch, repositioning the sightline by instinct alone. He doesn't see the target. He feels the space where the target must be. A void inside the storm. 3 seconds pass. 4. 5. Then another disturbance, almost imperceptible. A tiny quivering funnel of drifting flakes, shifting as if someone's lungs just exhaled. Breath. Human breath. Romankov tightens his finger on the trigger. He has to shoot a man he cannot see. A shot that should be impossible. Unless he pulls it now.
Romankov exhales, slow, controlled, barely parting his lips. The storm swallows the sound instantly. His finger settles into the familiar curve of the trigger, the metal biting through his glove like a reminder of what one mistake would cost. The snow in front of him swirls again. Not wildly, not randomly, but rhythmically, as if something solid beneath the storm is affecting the wind's flow. A thin, straight line of disrupted flakes, no wider than a rifle barrel, tilts ever so slightly to the right. Romankov's pupils tighten. That means the German just moved. Not much. Just a fraction of a degree. But it's enough. He realigns his sight, still seeing nothing but a wall of white. No shape, no outline. Only that ribbon of distorted snowfall. You trust the snow. You trust the storm more than your own eyes. A burst of wind slams across the field, masking everything. Snowflakes whip sideways in chaotic spirals. Romankov's vision blurs, but he doesn't look away. He watches for the one thing that shouldn't exist. Stillness. There. A tiny pocket where flakes fall unnaturally straight, as if sliding along an unseen cylinder. Perfectly vertical in a horizontal blizzard. That's the barrel. That's the shot. Romankov doesn't hesitate. He squeezes the trigger. The rifle cracks like a whip, the sound swallowed almost instantly by the storm. Recoil jolts his shoulder, warm gas venting from the muzzle before freezing into crystals. For half a heartbeat, nothing moves. Then, a sudden collapse in that distant patch of snow. A soft, sinking shift, like a sack dropping under a blanket. Romankov keeps the scope still, waiting, breath held. No countershot, no movement. Just a new shape forming beneath the snow. A slumped silhouette slowly being buried by the blizzard. He hit him. A man he never saw. A target defined only by how falling snowflakes changed direction. But Romankov doesn't rise. Not yet. Because something else just catches his attention. Something half covered by drifting powder on the German's position. A second rifle stock. Another shape. There weren't supposed to be two.
Romankov freezes. That half-buried shape beside the fallen sniper. It isn't debris. It isn't a log. It's too clean, too straight, too deliberate. Snow slides across it in a soft sheet, revealing just enough for Lev's stomach to tighten. A second rifle. Another marksman. And if one of them had been skilled enough to mask his position in a blizzard, what could the other be doing right now? Romankov presses his cheek back to the stock, pulse drumming against the frozen wood. The storm thickens, the wind howling with a deeper roar, as if trying to bury both bodies, German and Soviet, in the same white grave. He scans the snow again. No movement, no breath trails, no second whisper of distorted flakes. But the weapon, lying beside the dead sniper, it's positioned wrong. The barrel is half buried, yes, but the angle suggests it wasn't dropped. It was placed there, as if someone had set it down temporarily, then stepped away. Which means the second sniper is still out there. Romankov grinds his teeth. If the Germans sent a pair, it means they were baiting Soviet marksmen. One fires, one relocates, one watches the watcher. He realizes something else, something worse. His shot exposed his position. The muzzle flash, the sound, the slight shift of his silhouette against the snowbank. The second German would have seen all of it. Lev doesn't move his rifle, but he shifts his eyes to the far left tree line, a place where a patient sniper might reposition to get a clear angle on him. A gust of wind ripples the branches. Nothing. 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 Then a single snowflake drifts upward instead of down. Not many, just one. Lifted by what? A warm exhale?
A faint movement of cloth, the slightest turn of a body. Lev's entire world narrows to that one rising flake. The second sniper is close, close enough that breathing is giving him away. And Romankov is lying in the open. He has only seconds to react.
Romankov shifts his focus without shifting his body. A sniper's discipline, a statue's stillness. That lone drifting snowflake hangs in his mind like a lantern in the dark. It didn't rise by accident. Nothing rises in a blizzard unless something warm pushes it upward. Breath. Human breath. He inches his rifle a few degrees left, slow enough that even the wind can't betray the motion. His gloves creak softly, too softly to matter, but in his chest his heartbeat pounds loud enough to feel like a threat. Another flake lifts, then another. Soft, gentle anomalies in the storm's chaos, the only sign of a man who thinks he's still invisible. The second German is disciplined, holding his shot, waiting for Lev to panic, to scramble, to look up. Experienced snipers always wait for the glance, the instinctive head turn that exposes the forehead. Lev doesn't give him one. Instead, he watches the way the snow curls, studying the micro-disturbances in the air the same way a hunter reads grass for wind direction. Slowly, steadily, a faint outline begins to form in Romankov's imagination, the shape of a man molded not by silhouette, but by the absence of falling flakes. He sees no body, but he sees a bubble where flakes avoid something solid. A ghost in the storm. Romankov breathes out, slow and thin. He shifts the muzzle 2 centimeters, then one more. His sightline crosses that invisible bubble, the place where the snow bends unnaturally. He knows this is the moment. There won't be another. He tightens his finger. Steady. Sure. Then, crack! The shot tears through the storm. Snow erupts from the tree line as something collapses into the drift. The blizzard muffles the impact, but Romankov knows. He knows from the sudden stillness, from the way the snow resumes its natural fall. No more rising flakes, no more interruptions in the air. Both threats are gone. Romankov keeps his rifle aimed for a full 10 seconds, refusing to trust the quiet. Snow settles over the tree line, smoothing the contours of the fallen sniper, blending him into the storm. Only then does Lev push himself up from the frozen ground, joints shift, breath ragged. He steps forward into the wind, crossing the snow toward the enemy positions. His commander will later call it the most impossible shot of the war. But Romankov knows the truth. It wasn't luck. It wasn't fate. It was the storm itself. The snow became his ally and revealed the men who thought they could hide inside it. He slings his rifle over his shoulder and disappears back into the blizzard. Just another ghost in the white.